All right. I'm not going to talk about what happened in this book. I want to talk about the controversy that happened in this book. No, I do. Because there was clearly a breakdown with editors and with artists. And, the public perception right now, I believe, is it was a mistake. It was an honest mistake. But it was still a pretty shitty mistake. The quick rundown on this is the Hulk is hiding within Joe Fixit. Joe Fixit is doing what he does best, which is lie, steal, and cheat. And he's in New York City, and he's trying to figure out a way to continue to hide the Hulk and hide himself so that they don't get caught by this new Alpha Flight group, which we see on the cover. To the point where he steals somebody's purse or wallet and gets a credit card and immediately goes and buys jewelry to pawn off at a store and, just continue to make cash and continue to lay low a little bit. And then towards the end of the issue, a teenager that's wearing a Hulk gang hoodie gets stopped by the cops. And so initially he wasn't going to do anything about it, but then he ends up, the Hulk inside of him is like, you need to do something. Like, this kid's getting harassed. Like, you need to step in. So he turns into the Hulk. He saves the kid, and right before he can land the crushing blow, our team shows up and literally obliterates him. And that's how the issue ends. Is they're like, "Hey, we're taking you in, and we're literally going to turn you into soup." And so that's how the issue ends. Now on to the controversy, which the controversy in this book completely flew over my head until you texted me about it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Essentially, during that scene with him pawning off or buying jewelry, he bought jewelry at a store that was owned by a Jewish family. And the way it was written on the window, you were looking at it backwards, it didn't read jewelry, it read Jewry. And then it had a Star of David on the window. And so it's implying, those typical tones, racial tones that are just bullshit. And it was just it was a bad portrayal. It was just a poor choice. and people are trying to figure out if he did it on purpose. Was he being anti-Semitic, the artist, Bennett, or was it just a mistake? And so Bennett came out today, I believe, or yesterday, maybe it was yesterday, and apologized and said it was my bad. It was poor judgment. It wasn't on purpose. In the sense of the spelling on the window, it didn't work. He wrote it backwards. He misspelled it. But the use of the Star of David, I think, is probably the more being debated as we speak right now amongst, the comic book community and Marvel in general. Just kind of what were you thinking there, bud?
Yeah, so I'm still kind of torn on how I feel about it too, because his first initial explanation was that it's supposed to be the reflection or the outer side of a store window, and so all of those letters he's essentially drawing them backwards. He says, that's not a normal thing to do. You can mess that up. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And there's another word on top of that is misspelled as well. He was trying to put the name as an homage to some horror writer. I don't remember his name, but he put an N instead of an M, or an M instead of an N. I don't remember which one, but
yeah,
that was messed up as well. Sounds totally plausible. The issue is, it also sounds like something. It almost seems too plausible. Like, I'm going to put this in there, and if I get caught, here's a really easy way to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really odd thing to do. The risk to his career, I think, on this makes it, to me, if I'm gonna make a judgment decision, I'm gonna go ahead and give the guy the benefit of the doubt and say it was not on purpose.
Mm.
I just don't see. Um, I just don't see the benefit of being that full of hate and risking your whole career just to try to slide something in. Doesn't make sense. However, Maddie is right. The thing that makes it the hardest to get past is Maddie says, I could understand the misspelling while drawing backwards, but the Star of David, and that's exactly right.
Yep.
Even if the word wasn't there, even if the jewelry misspelling, even if that wasn't even in the book at all, just putting a Star of David on the front of a jewelry store, I think, is still questionable ethically. It's not necessary to prove your point. Everyone understands he's in a jewelry store. That Star of David on the sign doesn't help you understand more.
Right.
He's in a jewelry store, and so it's really difficult. I honestly think that it does warrant a little bit of an audit on Joe Bennett, on his work in general, and maybe his past. It's not just on Joe Bennett, right? Like,
no,
there are editors on books for a reason. Like, this is the very exact perfect example of what you were being paid to catch. This is to me 101.
yeah.
First thing you should be doing is there anything in here that is offensive? Number 2, does this fit continuity? 3, whatever else. But number 1 job you should be doing is is my artist being a dick and drawing naked chicks in the background, or writing little curse words in the clouds, or doing bullshit like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. As an editor, this has just got to be. You got to take blame for this too. You're totally in on this.
And I know that Marvel made a statement, but I agree. They probably have more. They obviously have more than one set of eyes editing this book. And I guess for me, is just I guess I'm not saying I'm naive, but why? Why did you do it? What were you thinking? How do you justify it in your mind for doing that? And I think that's what in my mind, that's what I want answered, is why did you think this was a good idea? It just doesn't make any damn sense. And I'm not saying I wonder what Ewing thinks, because I got to assume he sees it too. He's got to see Dex, you know what I mean? He's got to be able to see, almost finished product before it goes, you know what I mean? I would assume. So I don't know. I don't get it. When you brought it up and I finally saw it, I'm I just don't get it. Maddie says if they don't have more than one set of eyes, they need more. Yeah, no, I agree. And there are you have an editor in chief, but then there are multiple editors on the book. I don't know. It's really weird to me. When this came out, I saw the headline and was I don't know what that is. And I literally looked and I didn't see it because I thought the controversy was on an actual character, on Joe Fixit. He was drawn a certain way that was offensive. So to see that it was even deeper within the book, you really needed to scan it to really see the controversy is just, I think, even shadier. So it's kind of what are you doing, man? We'll see where this goes. There's only 7 issues left in this run. So it's almost over. And then you were saying people are scalping the book now because Marvel's going to go in and edit. Bennett's going to go in and edit it. So any collected edition, any second print, any digital edition will not have this mistake. So if you do have this book, unfortunately, yeah.
I think if you try to profit off of misgivings of an accidental or intentional racist, then you're kind of
I'm not saying
yourself.
Yeah, I agree, but I remember, I think there was another issue that I was talking to Ron about. I can't remember what it was in. It was another Marvel book, and it had something that was very offensive in the book, and it got caught. But then there was there was spec on it. Like, there were people that were trying to buy the book because of its rarity, in the sense that it was being pulled. That's what it was. The book itself was being pulled because there was something offensive in it. So like the low copy of the book,
Right.
drove the price up. So there's probably potential, like you said, there's potential for for that to happen in this book as well. Like,
For sure.
there will be people that are trying to collect this book because of the offensive nature of the book and the fact that it's going to be edited. So, it's I go back to, again, why did you do this? Like, outside of like talking about actual social issues and like trying to get people to understand and or educate themselves of social injustices is one thing. Like, that's great. Like, I love that when that happens in comics. But when you actively try to put a symbol of hate in a book and then you're like, oh, my bad, I didn't mean to do that. Like you said, it just seems a little suspect. It goes back to the writer for me. But I don't do comics like y'all. Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird, I go back to, again, like, why did you do it? What were you thinking? Like, or were you not thinking at all? No, it feels like you were thinking something.
Right.
So hopefully this doesn't, this could overshadow Ewing's entire run, which has been, as of right now, been going really well. Like, people really love this run. So hopefully we'll see. This might derail it. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know that it's gonna.
Well, we'll see.
I certainly hope not.
No, absolutely.